Show en la Nueva Cali 93.9 y lo prometido es deuda. Señores, les dije que estábamos de manteles largos porque estamos con nada más y nada menos que nuestra queridísima Karen Bass, nuestra alcaldesa. Aplauso. Tenemos gente hoy el día de aquí. Aplauso de pie. We are so happy you're back. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. Well, I'm so glad to be back. And the last time I was here, it was my birthday.
We remember that. We all have cake thanks to you.
That's right. Tres leches.
Tres leches, I know. Oh my gosh. ¿Cómo va este mes? ¿Cómo ha sido este mes de estar ya con las manos en la masa, como decimos los latinos, ya trabajando en LA? How's this month?
It has been a great month. It's been a great month. I have been excited every day because we started as we said we were, which is we declared a state of emergency on day one, and we have been getting people off the streets and into housing every day since.
Look, mis pelos se me pararon de la emoción. Es que sí es cierto, lo dijo, que es lo que quería hacer. Digo, no que me dé alegría que estemos en estado de emergencia, no, pero era algo que teníamos que hacer. We had to do that. It was so important. And now we're taking care of those people that they can get a shelter and they can get un techo. Perdón que hable en Spanglish, pero el Spanglish se me da. Además, you understand, right, my Spanglish?
Entiendo.
Perfecto. Pues sí, es que viviendo en LA, you have to understand a
exactly.
little bit.
Los dos lenguas.
Exacto. I love it. Tenemos muchas preguntas de la gente que sabía que iba a venir y le quieren hacer preguntas. ¿Le puedo hacer todas estas preguntas? Can I ask you all these questions?
Sí, cómo no.
Ahí voy. El objetivo es sacar a las personas sin hogar de la calle, pero ¿qué recursos o servicios les vamos a proporcionar para asegurarnos que no vuelvan a quedarse sin hogar? How are we gonna do so those people don't get again in the streets again?
Well, it is most important to talk to people in the tents and to ask them if they want to receive housing. And when they do, on day one, they're also provided services, but it depends on what they need.
Yes.
A lot of times people on the street don't realize that they qualify for all sorts of government programs.
True.
So that's step one. Do you have Social Security? Do you have disability? What kind of services or resources, including financial, might you be eligible for? Do you need mental health services? Do you need drug treatment? I'm very concerned, though, because there's not enough mental health and substance abuse, but the good news is that the city and the county are finally working together.
¡Ay, qué emoción tan emocionante! Obviamente hay que preguntarles por su salud mental, por si tienen vicios y tratar de ayudarlos a salir de eso para que lo que hemos dicho aquí en el programa, we say that all the time. We have to give them help.
Exactly.
We have to help them. Otherwise, they're never going to get out of the streets.
Exactly. And, using this time, too, for Angelenos to understand who these individuals are that wind up in tents and why do they wind up that way. So hopefully it's an education process as well. And I'm happy to say that the residents in an area we just finished in Venice are happy, and we're supposed to meet with them tomorrow to find out the differences between what they experienced when they had tents all in their neighborhood versus now. And then also we're going to go talk to the people who are in the motels now to find out how they're doing.
Aplauso de pie. En Venice ya toda un área se cubrió, se limpió. Imagínate lo feliz que puede estar la gente de salir de su casa y no ver un tent ahí. La verdad es que debe ser maravilloso esa tranquilidad. Because sometimes we get scared. I mean, sometimes
Sure.
we don't know. We get really scared when you see a tent and somebody living there. We don't know if we can help or we don't know if we should run from there.
Right. And so you know what we want to let the residents understand now that the tents are gone? They might come back. But the minute you see one tent, call the social service agency that found housing. You don't need to involve the police. Call the social service agency, because what happens is one day there'll be one tent, you don't do anything, then there'll be 2, 3, 4. Then it becomes much more difficult.
Of course.
Because what people are doing is they're building communities. They're building communities so that they can survive together.
At the end, they don't want to be alone.
Of course they
not.
don't want to be alone, and it's more dangerous for them on the street.
Of course.
Than it is for us. So the only way to protect yourself is to gather other people. So we need to help them before they have the need to gather other people. So it's great that we've accomplished this, but now we have to maintain it. And what I want to do is make this a permanent program.
I love you, really. Thank you. Really, because we have a big problem in LA.
We do.
pero lo está solucionando y lo quiere que además este programa dure para siempre, que sea permanente, que sea una ayuda que tengamos siempre. Hay que hablarle a los servicios sociales, señores, no a la policía directamente, sino a los servicios sociales para, si es que ves un tent que no te gusta, I have a lot near my house, so I'm going to call. Now I know.
Please do.
Because you don't want to call the police either.
No.
You don't know, you never know what to do.
Well, also, just think about it from the police officer's perspective. That's not why they became police officers.
True.
They're not social workers.
Claro.
They shouldn't have to be responsible for this.
Tiene toda la razón. Los policías no estudiaron para estar involucrados en esos problemas. Claro que sí. Bueno, como madre, una gran preocupación es el aumento del fentanilo, hijo, no lo puedo ni decir, que es el acceso a drogas para los niños. ¿Hay alguna protección para nuestros niños? This is very interesting because, you know, I don't know how to say it in Spanish. Fentanilo. Even in Spanish is a hard word to say. But how can we do so kids don't have access to these drugs?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. The most immediate thing, I support our superintendent who wants to have Narcan, which is, I mean, it's terrible to think about, but that's the drug that if you take fentanyl, it can save your life.
Yes.
It can reverse the effects.
Yes.
It's very sad that we need to have that in our schools, but we should. But after we have distributed the fentanyl, we need to understand why the kids are taking drugs to begin with, because the kids that are taking fentanyl, I do not believe they mean to take fentanyl.
I don't think.
They're just
I don't think so,
medicating
yes.
their depression. They're thinking this is some way to get high and not realizing that this can be fatal. So we have to do the education
True.
of young people to understand that if you're feeling down, if you're feeling blue, let's get help for you rather than you trying to take a pill to resolve it.
Cierto, tan cierto. ¿Cómo es importante? Regresamos al mental health.
Right.
Lo importante que es tener. Yo a mis hijos les he hablado de drogas, les he hablado de lo malo que es el alcohol, desde que están muy chiquitos. My kids are 10 and 8 years old, and I talk to them about these things. You
That's
have
right.
to, because they're there.
That's
like
right.
I remember that on social media they put some candy. Well, they look like
Right.
candy, but they're not candy. They're drugs. And I told them, hey guys, be careful, because maybe somebody, no sé, que te quieran dar un dulcecito de estos is not candy.
Mm-hmm.
They're drugs and they're very dangerous. And you can pass away. Así se los dije de plano, y entonces se asustaron. They got scared and they were like, oh, yeah, Mom, we won't trust anyone. I was like, no, don't eat anything.
Exactly. Don't take anything
From people that you don't know,
right.
or from people that you know.
Exactly.
Ever. Don't,
exactly.
Just from me.
You make their lunch.
I make the lunch. My mom helps me with that too. My husband, but that's it. I mean, people that you really know, that are your
Right.
family. Karina, mi mejor amiga. But that's it.
Right.
Don't take food or candy for anyone else. Actually, in Halloween, I had a hard time.
Right, exactly. And there was a lot of concern over Halloween.
Sí.
I don't think we had a problem, but it was really important that education take place. And it's sad. You have a 10 and an 8-year-old. Shouldn't even have to have those discussions, but you have to.
Actually, my parents had those discussions with me when I was a little girl.
Right.
And I was so scared since I was a little girl. And then when I grow up, the feeling was the same. It
Right.
didn't matter if I was 15, 16, or 8, but I was so scared that I never tried anything.
Right.
Creo que está en la educación y está en nuestras casas. Eso es súper importante. Voy a seguir porque tenemos muchas preguntas del público y muy poco tiempo. Pero bueno, ya me fui a las de inglés. A ver, ahí voy. Como millennial, actualmente estamos luchando por no poder encontrar una vivienda accesible. Por lo tanto, retrasamos metas importantes como tener una familia, crear riqueza generacional y tener una mayor movilidad ascendente. ¿Cuál es el plan para ampliar la vivienda accesible para los angelinos? No solo, empezar comprando una casa. O sea, what you understood.
Yeah. So at the same time as we are getting people off the streets who are in tents,
Yes.
we are going to be building housing. That's the only way to deal with affordability. We need to build more housing, and it needs to be housing that millennials can actually afford to live in.
Claro.
We have plenty of housing in this city. I just don't know who can afford to live in it.
Cierto.
And so we need to build housing that's more affordable. So when I declared a state of emergency, it was to get people off the street, but it was also to expedite building, because the problem is it takes so darn long to build anything in the city. You know what? I did a press conference at a lot where this community organization had been trying for 16 years to build affordable housing. That's crazy.
Crazy.
So I wrote a directive that said, done with that.
Yes.
We have to build, and we have to build quickly. So we're going to brush aside all of the red tape and say, let's get it done.
Ay, qué emoción. Es que oírla hablar, la verdad, me da, primero que nada, mucho orgullo vivir en Los Ángeles. I'm so happy to have you as our mayor, because you give me like paz, you give me peace. It's like everything is going to be okay. I got it. I'm working on it. No worries. And that feeling is amazing. Porque la verdad es que sí tenemos muchos problemas, pero aquí está Karen Bass para solucionarlos todos. We are so happy you're here.
Thank
you. Really, you made our day again. We have breakfast for you, though.
You have breakfast for me?
Of course,
oh
you cannot come and
I'm coming back again.
Please do so. Always. This is your house. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for running LA, porque la verdad es una ciudad difícil. It's a big city. It's a huge city. It's not easy, pero qué maravilla que tenga el valor para hacerlo. Thank you so much. We love you, Karen Bass. Thank you.
Thank you.